Vantage Reading, Paper Part 1. Here we're going to have a look at the overview tips and techniques needed for this part of the exam. So here's a typical question you'll receive on the day of the exam. On the left, you can see there's 7 statements, and on the right, 4 texts to choose from, labeled A, B, C, or D. This is available as a PDF to download, and I will be looking at this through a PowerPoint presentation in a lot more detail. So we're going to move on. So in this part of the test, you're given 7 statements, numbered 1 to 7, as follows. So part 1, questions 1 to 7. You then have the instruction, look at the statements below and the information about business schools on the opposite page. Which school, A, B, C, or D, does each statement 1 to 7 refer to? For each sentence 1 to 7, mark 1 letter, A, B, C, or D, on your answer sheet. You'll need to use some of the letters more than once. This is a very important detail. Sometimes I find students, once they've used the text A, B, C, or D, they don't use it again, which means they only answer 4 of the 7 statements. Please make sure you do not do this in the exam. Sometimes a text A, B, C, or D can be used twice or even 3 times. Here are our 7 statements. Again, we will look at this in more detail in a minute. So here are the instructions again. You have to match each statement 1 to 7 to one of the texts A, B, C, or D as follows. The text could be 4 different extracts or 4 paragraphs from the same text. The one we are doing are 4 different extracts, but also in the exam you might get one reading text divided into paragraphs A, B, C, or D. So both formats are possible on the day of the exam. Here are our 4 extracts, A, B, C, or D. Again, we're going to go into this in a lot of detail in a minute and underline keywords and so on. So we will come across this in more detail later on. Skills and techniques you need for this part of the test are as follows. Skim reading for general meaning. This you need in most of the parts of the exam, so we'll spend quite a lot of time on this and how to use this skill properly. Same as scanning for specific information. This can be used in part 3 of the exam as well, so we'll look at this in detail in a minute. The most important skill we need to look at is vocabulary knowledge of synonyms. A lot of part 1 is to do with synonyms, as you'll see when we go through the paper in a minute. Also, I've got lots of downloads later on, as well as a Quizlet account, which I'll go through with you later on, which can help you learn synonyms for this part of the exam. The first skill we're going to look at, though, is simplifying words in the statements 1 to 7. Sometimes the statements can be overcomplicated, and all we need to do is look at easier words or easier synonyms to substitute these complicated words. So when we're scanning through the texts A, B, C, and D to find the correct answer, if we have a simple word in our head, it's much easier to find. Again, we'll be looking at this skill in some detail.